Hi guys, and welcome to my December reading wrap up. I'm going to keep this video short and sweet because I don't want to keep you from chilling and taking your well-deserved rest during your winter holidays. At least I hope you have winter holidays right now, but let's get into it. Now, most of these books I have talked about in other videos, so if you want to hear me talk about them some more, you can always check out these other videos. But just to give you a little summary of all the things I have read in December, let's start off with the first book I read, and that was Stephen King's The Shining. I read this book because I had this idea of reading a celebrities book recommendation, but a fictional celebrities book recommendation, and that was Joey Tribbiani, aka Dr. Gregory Murray from Friends, of course. This is the only book Joey is known to recommend within Friends. And so I read it. I had seen the movie before, but I don't even know, 10 years ago. So I did not have a good recollection of the movie. But what I did remember and what ended up happening in this book was actually quite different. So if you have seen the movie and therefore you kind of think that you don't need to read the book anymore, don't think that, because the book and the movie are really quite different from one another. So even though I had watched the movie before and I thought I knew what was going to happen, that was for the most part actually not necessarily true. So this really had me on my toes the entire time. Now, per se, horror, thriller, Stephen King stuff is not usually up my alley, but this one, I mean, I did enjoy it. It is really gripping, of course. It's a page turner for sure. And I think this is also wildly thought to be Stephen King's maybe best novel, I think. I've looked at some lists of his best works, and this was usually featured within the top 5 if it wasn't even number 1. So if you're thinking about checking out Stephen King, this is probably a good place to start. Moving on to something that was definitely way more up my alley, definitely within my comfort zone, and that was another Agatha Christie, of course. I again tried to solve this mystery as I was reading it. It was my second attempt at solving Agatha Christie murder mystery, and this was Cards on the Table. Now, this is about a dinner party and a bridge game at which the host of the party is suddenly being killed, and Hercule Poirot is present as well and has, of course, to figure out who killed their host. Now, if you want to see me trying to solve this one, you can check out this very long video, but if you're into this kind of stuff, like solving murder mysteries, especially Agatha Christie ones, you might enjoy that one. Now, one of the few books I have not yet talked about in another video this month was Less by Andrew Shaw Greer. I really enjoyed this. This is a piece of contemporary fiction, I would call it, and it is about our protagonist Arthur Less going on a world tour basically to avoid having to deal with his ex-boyfriend getting married. So as to be out of the country during the wedding, he's taking on engagements all over the world, giving talks or being invited to award shows, and usually he would not go to any of these things. By the way, he's an author, so that's why he's invited to all of these things, and usually he would never attend most of these things, but because he wants to keep himself busy so he doesn't have to think about his ex getting married at that time, he goes on this world trip. It takes him to Mexico, Germany, Morocco, India, Japan, and many more places. I especially enjoyed this aspect of it, going on the world tour, because I love to travel, and because you can't really do that right now, it kind of scratched that itch for me. Plus, him as a protagonist I found very relatable and also very funny. He's relating past instances of his dating life and also about things that are of course going on while he's on his world tour, and I really enjoyed this one. It even won the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction 2018, so this is not just approved by me, but by a lot of other people, as it seems. Check it out. The fourth book I read this month was Dash and Lily's Book of Theirs. This is a YA, cutie, Christmassy romance. Usually that's not my kind of style of book at all, but there are exceptions to every rule, and this is mine. I usually like to pick this up during the winter months, during December, the weeks before Christmas, because that's exactly when this takes place. It is about 2 teenagers in New York City who get to know each other via this book that they kind of send back and forth, and they always challenge each other to do these dares or activities that they normally would never do, and that's how they get to know each other. And of course they fall in love, but then there are all these complications. You know the drill. This has also been turned into a Netflix miniseries, which I also really enjoyed. So if you kind of want to watch the series before checking out the book, I can recommend you to do so, or maybe you should first read the book and then check out the series, or simultaneously read the book and watch the series. all of it works out, I think. The fifth book I read this month was another Agatha Christie, another one I tried to solve as I was reading it. That was my most recent upload. I uploaded it as a kind of Christmas surprise. So again, if you're into these kind of videos, there are two you can actually check out. Now, The Mystery of the Blue Train is about a murder happening on a train. Now, you might think that sounds a lot like Murder on the Orient Express, of course, but actually this is the original train murder mystery by Agatha Christie, because she wrote this before Murder on the Orient Express. So this is not a knockoff of the other story, but if anything, the other way around. I gave this a pretty fair shot, if I do say so myself, at solving the murder mystery again. If you are interested in seeing me try to figure out who the murderer is, there's a 50-minute long video in which you can do that. And now, last but not least, the two books I'm still currently reading. That is, first of all, Dracula, my gorgeous, gorgeous copy I have right here. Look how pretty it is. Now, Dracula, of course, I guess I don't really have to tell you about the story of this. We all know in our day and age that like Dracula is about like vampires and stuff. But still, I am quite surprised by this book in the sense that, yes, of course, we kind of all know in its basics what this book is about, but still it is a really thick Victorian classic, so it could still be for some people like daunting to read, or you could think that it might be a bit like boring or slow paced or something like that. But I'm really enjoying this. It is full of action and cool stuff happening, and all the characters in this book, they are so sweet towards one another. They're also trusting, and they're like this cute little community. Of course, I mean, they all have that common goal to like kill Dracula, so that's why they come together. So of course this book still has its dark side to it, but I really like this community of characters that's featured in this book. There was a part in the, I would say maybe second, fourth, that was a bit long-winded. I could have cut quite a few pages out of that part, but besides that, so far it I really enjoy it. As you can tell, I am, well, almost 2/3 through this book, and I actually think I'm going to finish this quite soon, because right now, like, action again is picking up, and of course, I mean, I know how it's going to end, but still, I want to continue reading. I really enjoy this one. And now for real, last but not least, a book I only started last night, and that is Agatha Christie's Autobiography. I got this gifted for Christmas, and I started reading it last night after having watched a documentary about Agatha Christie. That was not the first one I have watched about her life and her work, but like I've watched a few documentaries, but I have never read something about it, especially not something written by her. So I got this gifted and I started it last night. But personally, I am not a non-fiction kind of person usually. I prefer fiction over non-fiction an insane amount. But of course, for Agatha, I'm willing to make an exception. But still, this is not a book I think I'm gonna read like read a piece of fiction basically within a couple of days. But I think I'm probably gonna read this like a few pages before going to bed at a time. So this will probably take me quite a long time to finish. But I have started to read it, well, yesterday nonetheless. So know that I'm working on this. I might give you like an update once I have finished it, but mind you, that might be in like a couple of months, because I don't even think I'm gonna finish this in January, because you can see she's thick and also written in a tiny print. And of course, I plan on reading other books during like January. So yeah, this will probably take me quite some time. But already like the first, like I've only like read the first, I don't know, 15 pages or something like that. And so far already I can tell that Agatha Christie, she was so full of joie de vivre, like this joy of living. She was so adventurous and honestly quite funny. That's what I get from this first couple of pages. So I'm really looking forward to, well, reading about her life out of her perspective. So these were all the books that I read in December. I'm still reading and have just started basically. Now actually, as I'm recording this, it is only the 29th of December, so officially December isn't even over yet, but as I'm still in the middle of this one, I only have started this really big book. I think these two are probably going to keep me busy during those last couple of days of December before we not only move on to a new month, but to a new entire year. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video and maybe any of these other videos in which I talk about these books in case you check them out. And I'm going to see you not only again in the next video, but in the new year. Until then, have a good one. Bye!